All right, welcome to The Explainer. You know that phrase, rise and grind? We're told to do it all the time, but have you ever stopped to wonder where that pressure really comes from? It feels so modern, but its roots might go back centuries. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden history of our obsession with work.
So let's start with a feeling I bet you know all too well, that constant, nagging pressure to be more productive, to climb higher, to achieve more. We celebrate this whole hustle culture, and we almost treat burnout like it's some kind of badge of honor. But where does this relentless drive actually come from?
Well, the answer might be found, and this is kind of surprising, in a really powerful idea that took root way back in the 16th century, the Protestant work ethic. This concept has had a massive impact on the Western world, and believe me, its influence is still felt in our boardrooms and on our to-do lists today.
Now, at its core, this ethic isn't just about, working hard. It's a belief system that basically says your dedication to your job, your worldly calling, is a direct reflection of your spiritual health and your personal virtue.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting. A huge theological shift in the 16th century had this massive ripple effect on our culture and our economy. The idea that salvation comes from faith alone was a total game changer, but it also created this new kind of anxiety. How could you prove you were saved? This led people to search for outward signs, and guess what? Hard work and success became the most visible ones.
So this created an incredibly powerful link between your bank account and your soul. Being wealthy wasn't just about being comfortable, it was seen as a sign that God was on your side. And this idea, well, it became a key ingredient in the rise of capitalism.
But what if there's another way to think about work? A powerful counter-narrative exists, one that values rest just as much as productivity. So let's explore this theology of rest.
See, in this view, work isn't some big test of your worthiness. It's more about participating in the world, kind of co-creating with a higher power. It's a way to grow, to provide, and to contribute, but it doesn't define your ultimate value.
And this right here highlights a core difference. The whole idea of a Sabbath, a dedicated day of rest, is actually a pretty radical statement. It says that your value is not tied to your productivity. You have inherent worth even when you're not working, which frees you up to focus on your family, your culture, and your spiritual life.
When you put these two side by side, you can really see they are two fundamentally different worldviews. One sees work as a way to prove your worth, while the other sees it as a way to participate in creation. One ties your dignity to your output, while the other insists your dignity is just there, period. These contrasting views have some pretty profound implications for how we live and work.
Now, you can't deny that the Protestant work ethic helped fuel incredible economic growth. But what happens when its modern, secular version is taken to the extreme? What are the downsides to this relentless focus on work? I mean, when work becomes the absolute center of our universe, it can create this huge spiritual vacuum. The very thing that seems like a virtue, diligence, can become a source of anxiety and disconnection when it's taken way too far.
The sources we're looking at point to four key dangers. First, idolatry, where work and wealth become our new gods. Second, pride, this belief that our success is all our own doing. Third, and this is a fascinating twist, is sloth, workaholism as a way to avoid life's deeper questions. And finally, utilitarianism, where we start to reduce people to their economic value.
This quote just nails the danger of pride. This strenuous life, where we're driven to achieve everything all on our own, isn't a virtue. It's described here as a fever, a frantic attempt to fill a spiritual void with constant activity.
This completely flips the script on the idea of sloth. We usually think of it as laziness, right? But what if modern sloth is actually frantic, non-stop activity? It's being on the job 24/7 as a way to avoid the stillness that forces us to confront the bigger questions about our lives, our families, and our purpose.
Okay, so if any of this is starting to sound a little too familiar in your own life, what's the way out? How can we apply the principles from this theology of rest to find a healthier, more sustainable balance?
Well, the sources suggest a kind of four-step path to reclaim our lives. First, make genuine rest a non-negotiable part of your week. And this isn't just about not working, it's about intentional time for reflection and connection. Second, practice temperance by questioning our consumer habits. Do we own our stuff, or does our stuff own us?
Third, set firm boundaries to protect your time for what truly matters, whether that's family dinner or a quiet hour to read. And fourth, and this is a big one, consciously reject the idea that our worth is tied to our productivity, both in how we see ourselves and how we value other people.
And this really is the bedrock of this whole alternative perspective. Your worth is not defined by your output. It's not your job title, it's not how productive you are, it's not your income. Your dignity is inherent. It exists before and beyond any of your accomplishments.
And that's the final thought we want to leave you with. In a culture that is always asking, so what do? The real challenge, and maybe the real path to freedom, is to find our value in who we are. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.